chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee, also a member of the Armed Services Committee, Select Committee, as well on Intelligence. Congressman, good to have you with us.
Lou, it's great to be back with you. Thanks.
Let's start with the zero option, if we may. This obviously is a trial balloon, an effort to prepare the ground for what may be the president's decision to move things along much faster toward full withdrawal of all of our troops.
Well, I think this is something that President Obama has had his sights on for a long time. Unfortunately, I think if we withdraw too quickly, we're going to give up a lot of the ground that's been gained by our men and women, those that have given their lives and shed their blood. Certainly a lot of this country's treasure has gone to provide the Afghan people the opportunity to stand on their own 2 feet. And certainly to do it too early, I think is a huge mistake.
And Egypt, this president has made no secret that he is supportive of the Muslim Brotherhood. In the years and months leading up to Morsi's ouster, today we learned that the Muslim Brotherhood will be part of the new interim government. Where should the United States be? We have John McCain, Republican senator, seemingly speaking for the party, saying that we should end aid to Egypt. We have the president saying that we shall not. What is your judgment?
Well, ending aid to Egypt is a political choice that some would want to do, and unfortunately, I don't think that it is the right move to make, because Egypt is critical to helping, believe it or not, keep the peace with a very important ally of ours in Israel. Now, the issue is, I think, whether or not you call what happened in Egypt a coup. And I think by all definitions it is, because the military went in and took their leader out of office. And so most of us would call it a coup, even though the president chooses not to do it. I think the president would want to continue giving aid to Egypt. I actually support the president in that particular situation, but time will tell.
And our military. This week begins the furloughs of 650,000 Defense Department employees, taking 11 unpaid leave days. The Army announcing it plans to cut 12 combat brigades. Congressman, how can this be occurring?
Well, and we have fighter wings that are on the ground. We have ships that are staying in the port, aircraft carriers and whole battle groups that are supposed to be leaving ports that are not able to do that. We tried to give the president flexibility within the Department of Defense, the ability to move dollars around, be able to make savings where they could. But unfortunately, the president has chosen to use the most severe pressure that he possibly could to make the public react to what's going on. We're trying to make sure that Washington stays within its means, and we've got a long way to go. Unfortunately, sequester was the trigger that finally brought everybody to the table.
It brought everybody to the table, but I'm not precisely sure what has occurred and who remains at that table, or if even it's the correct table for them to be seated at. I'm sorry.
I think the important thing is that finally the American public understand that there are those of us in Washington that think that we need to get control of the spending that's been going on here for decades. Right. Unfortunately, some of that spending has been happening within the Department of Defense. We think that there are places that you can lessen the dollars that are being invested right now in certain instances. But unfortunately, the president says the best way to do it, of course, is to close the White House to tours, but then, of course, also start furloughing the civilian population.
And having done so, the Republicans' response will be what? That it is good for the budget? Because you talk about living within our means as a people and as a government. But then there is no modesty or constraint on the ambitions and the goals of this government, or frankly, the administration that preceded it, which puts unrivaled stresses on our men and women in uniform. Either we, I have no problem if you constrain our military, if you also constrain significantly the missions that we ask them to fulfill.
And we are going through that process right now, drawing down in Afghanistan. We have removed ourselves from Iraq. in places, here's the president talking about doing something in Syria right now, which there is no appetite for this country to do. We never should have gone into Libya, in my opinion, in the first place. And so I think that the Republican House has been trying to put options in front of us that don't raise taxes, which is exactly what the White House wants to do in order to get this spending issue under control. Yeah. The problem that you're talking about not only deals with the active duty men and women right now that are in uniform, but also the veterans that are out there today.
And those veterans facing, as you well know, as chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee, I mean, it is obscene what we are doing, excuse me, to those veterans who are being denied their benefits. We are out of time. Congressman, I want to bring you back soon. We always like to hear your clear, well-reasoned voice on these very important issues. I said that I could go along with the reduction in force of 12 combat brigades. What I meant is so long as we constrained our mission. I, for the life of me, do not know how we can do this to our military, given all the challenges that we face. And I hope that we find a way to be constrained as well as reasonable in assuring the nation's, the nation's interest.
It's the only thing constitutionally we are supposed to do, and that's provide for the defense of the American people, and that's what we should be doing.
Amen, Congressman Miller, as usual. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Lou.
Another embarrassment